Hello and welcome back to Continental Club Extra, where we are rounding up the best and the worst of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Tonight we're going to be reacting to all things Group H, particularly focusing on Brazil's 1-0 victory over Switzerland. Now, Chris, going into this game, Brazil were without their talisman Neymar after that ankle injury. How did they fare without him?
Yeah, not great to start with. The midfield three of Casemiro, Paqueta and Fred didn't feel like it had a great balance to it in that first half, despite the fact they did dominate shot-wise, they dominated possession-wise, although only just. It was very cagey, wasn't it? It lacked real forward thrust, although I do think they had that at times when Marquinhos found Paqueta. That felt like the only high-value pipeline that Brazil had to their attack. So, not a massive fan of their plan B, but their plan C, when they brought on Rodrygo at half-time, and then eventually Bruno Guimaraes came on after 65 minutes, and they switched to a 4-2-3-1. I think they found much more balance then. They looked much more composed. They started to build attacks with greater regularity, greater tempo. So I think Tite deserves credit for his plan C, but the plan B, the aforementioned plan B, I think they might have been in trouble against a team like France, someone that could really work their way through the gears and someone that had genuine pace, which Switzerland did not, or do not even. So yeah, I think they would have been in trouble against a bigger side with that original game plan, but he's got so many angles to pursue, hasn't he? I think he nailed it come the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think similar to that first game against Serbia, it's the subs that really changed the game for Brazil. I thought they were incredibly flat, to be honest, in the first half. And for much of the second, I thought Switzerland put in a really good display, which we'll come on to in due course. They, of course, had that goal for Vinicius Junior, also ruled offside. We've seen him do that finish so many times for Real Madrid over the last 18 months. But Henry, you know, we can't assess this game without giving a lot of credit to Switzerland. Potentially not the most free-flowing going forward, but in terms of solid defensive, that block, they've got it together.
I think it's really difficult for Brazil to know how to set up for this game, because if you look at Switzerland's recent record, unbeaten in the qualifiers, and they did get that win against Cameroon. Okay, they didn't look great, but I just think the way they lined up, they were just sussing them out, trying to figure out where they were going to get their moments, and that's why Tite deserves so much credit for recognising the fact that, yeah, Switzerland's attack wasn't really doing very much at all, and he could afford to maybe put on a few more offensive players to really go for it. Kind of similar to what we saw Argentina do against Mexico when they just sussed out that Mexico were not really going to score against them, went to a back three, then were able to push forward. I think, yeah, Tite did a great job in this game. It's a tough game to beat at Switzerland. They drew 1-1 at the last World Cup. And they've got some great defensive players. If you look at that team, if you look at that spine of that side, with Freuler and Xhaka playing in front of LVD and Akanji at centre-half. That's a difficult block to break down.
Sommer in goal as well.
And yeah, and they've got two experienced fullbacks in Rodriguez and Widmer as well. It was always going to be an intriguing test for this Brazil team to get the better of Switzerland. But yeah, I mean, they were helped by the fact that Switzerland going forward couldn't really muster up anything at all in this game. I think Alisson's still yet to face a shot on target in this tournament, which is slightly ridiculous, I would say, by this point in the competition. But yeah, I mean, Ruben Vargas, I've got a real problem with this guy. I think he looks okay, doesn't he? But 67% pass accuracy, he was misplacing a lot of balls. Only 2 out of 5 crosses even found anyone. Lost possession 11 times. Just looked limited against that Brazilian defence there too. I mean, Embolo didn't have a single shot in this game. And I've been saying it a lot. When you're playing a better team, you have to make the most of those little moments that come to you. And Switzerland didn't do that once again in this game. There was that one moment in the second half where Embolo was free in space in the box and there was a simple pass to play him in and they went backwards again. And we saw that a lot in the first half, them not really making that killer ball. And it's just kind of, it's frustrating to see. I'm still confident about Switzerland's chances in the tournament, especially with that core, as I've said. I mean, some great defensive performances in this game. Xhaka, 4 clearances, 2 shots blocked, 2 tackles. Akanji, 3 tackles, 3 clearances, etc. LVD, 7 clearances. They know what they're doing at the back, and the goalkeeper as well, Sommer, we're big fans of. They'll be all right, but Switzerland need to figure out how they're going to get the better of greater sides when they do come up against them, in the way that they got the better of Italy in the qualifiers. So yeah, I'm not actually that down on the Brazil performance. I think it was just a game of chess which they got the better of. They got the win and they've qualified through to the next round.
Absolutely, just the second side to do so already after France. Chris, we've seen all those Brazilian attackers, all those Brazilian midfielders in action now. If you were Tite and you were, deciding your game plan for that Cameroon game on Saturday, who would be your preferred lineup, or who would you be looking to replace the loss of Neymar?
Well, I just want to unpack a few things that Henry mentioned there, because there was a brief moment in the game where I agree the Swiss do deserve a little bit of credit for not just staying in the game, but perhaps taking the initiative. I think it was 15 minutes after half-time.
Yeah.
They really enjoyed a positive spell, had 4 shots to 0 in reply, and I think that was partly an effect an effect of Brazil kind of disrupting that midfield. We saw Tite eventually fix that further on in the game. But yeah, I always want to give some credit to that back line. I thought Akanji and Elvedi really passed it into midfield with great composure. Xhaka really progressed the ball into Brazil's final third well, but yeah, just ran out of ideas there, didn't they? And I can't see them striking fear into the heart of top opposition just because of that lack of sort of genuine pace up front. We saw how high Brazil were willing to play with 37-year-old Thiago Silva. I mean, Marquinhos isn't exactly known for his speed. A very intelligent defender doesn't necessarily need speed when your match IQ is that good. But I can't see them, going much further than the next stage. But it's no disgrace, is it? But so sorry, what were you asking me prior to that?
It was just to go back to if Neymar, well, we know Neymar's still not going to be fit for that Cameroon game, and we've seen all the alternatives in his position or in that forward line. Who would you go for as that preferred lineup?
Yeah, I like the 4-2-3-1, like I said, with Rodrygo at 10. Like, he definitely added some forward thrust, some momentum in there. We saw that with a nice little flick for Casemiro's goal. And ultimately, I know Brazil wasted a couple of opportunities. Vinicius Junior at the back post. Had that goal disallowed, like you mentioned, but ultimately it did require an absolute howitzer from a defensive midfielder to separate the two sides. And it was a low-quality chance, was it a low-value chance, even a high-quality finish. So even if it finished 0-0, I don't think Brazil there would have been too many complaints. But yeah, I think they probably need to line up in the next game how they finished in this one, because there were little signs in stoppage time. Vinicius getting in there, obviously he benefiting from his relationship at a club level with Rodrygo. Seemed to be a greater understanding than there was in the first half with that forward three. Richarlison started to pull out wide a little bit. Raphinha looked a little bit isolated on the right-hand side, just sort of whipping in balls pretty meaninglessly. So yeah, maybe start as they finished.
I like it. Well, it's going to be a fascinating game on Saturday against Cameroon. Cameroon and Serbia played out a thrilling 3-3 draw earlier today. It was one of the best games of the tournament, and then we had another great display between South Korea and Ghana. But yeah, that game was so chaotic, Henry. And it started in slightly weird fashion with reports overnight that Onana had, fallen out with Rigobert Song, the Cameroon coach. He then didn't take to the field, and Apassi played in his place. Then there was reports he'd actually left the World Cup. Yeah. Apparently he's now going for showdown talks with Eto'o and Rigobert Song. Do you think that's a big distraction for Cameroon, or do you think they've sort of shot themselves in the foot over this whole scenario?
Absolutely. I think I differ from you a little bit. We're talking about one of their main players, one of their best players playing at the top level. If the dispute is, and this is like what we understand it to be, that he's being told to not be such a sweeper keeper. We saw him in the first game playing in front of the defence at some points. If he's been told just to sort of focus on going long, and actually Choupo-Moting did a good job bringing the ball down in that game. If he's really that annoyed by that he's chosen to leave the World Cup, I'm slightly stunned. I feel like if the coach wants you to play a certain way, you kind of bend to his rules. He's in charge, really, and I think you've got to show respect.
Or just say no and do it anyway.
Or just say yes. I mean, what's he going to do? Sub him at half-time? I doubt it. Like, he played really well in the first game. So yes, I think it is a big distraction. And we saw in that game, Milinkovic-Savic, his first goal really should have been saved by the keeper. In fairness to Apassi, he did all right after that. But yeah, nuts game. No one really wanted a draw in that match. And I mean, Cameroon have it all to do to beat Brazil, which they're not going. I mean, stranger things have happened at this World Cup. Costa Rica getting a win. But yeah, I'm not sure that it's going to happen. But yeah, it's the Switzerland-Serbia game set up to be an absolute thriller, though, and I think that's the one I'm going to be looking for in the next round. Fair,
yeah. Now, I've got a slightly different opinion just on the Onana thing quickly, in that, the coach knows that Onana is the sweeper keeper. He's been at Barcelona, he's been at Ajax, he's now at Inter. That's his style of play. Don't pick him and then ask him to change his very nature after one game, and he played very well in that opening game. For me, it didn't make any sense whatsoever.
I would just say the quality of the Cameroonian centre-half in the defence, I don't think is at the level to play out from the back. I think you've got to recognise that most of their talent is coming in the midfield, and Gisa is coming in the attacking play that we saw with Abubakar coming on, etc. So I think the coaches kind of say we can't put ourselves in situations where we're going to get caught out. And against Brazil, they will get caught out. We saw how high they're pressing. So he's probably saying, let's just get rid of the ball and see what we can do higher up the pitch. And Onana wants to play with his instincts, which obviously are coming through great academies and great teams.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, those games will be at 7 p.m. on Saturday. Switzerland can still finish top. They need Cameroon to beat Brazil and a 3-goal swing in goal difference. But it's looking like Brazil are marching through to the last 16 as top of Group H. What did you guys make of the display? What did you make of their plan B without Neymar? Let us know in the comments down below, and we'll catch you later. Goodbye.